Hello, podcast world, horror community, and evil doers. This is Death by Podcast, a special presentation. Hey, did you watch Werewolf by Night, by the way?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Special presentation of Death by Podcast. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Kevin.
It's been a while, Kevin. It's been a while.
It has, yeah.
You're doing okay.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty well.
I just noticed your shirt. Can you show me
Yeah,
the picture? It's from Beyond.
Yeah.
What? Oh, yeah. Okay. The worm thing coming out.
Yeah, the pineal gland comes out of his head and sucks people's brains out. And
Dude, it's such a good movie.
yeah, it's solid. Jeffrey Combs.
You still prefer
Reanimator?
Reanimator.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the one that Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton just did like 6 months ago or something?
I don't know.
They did one. I want to say it's a vampire movie that they just did. I gotta find it. I think it's on Shudder. Maybe
I don't know. I would watch that. Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember her on Twitter like posting all this stuff about it and like pictures of her and Jeffrey Combs like making out or something like that.
I actually been meaning to go back and check. Do you know what's the deal with Tales from the Dark Side? Not Tales from the Dark Side. What's that thing? What's that like movie about DVD?
Movie about things?
Yeah, no, it's like a movie about VHS tapes.
Oh, VHS.
But they're like it's like a documentary movie about just like wasn't this movie great? Yeah, this movie was great too. In Search of Darkness. That's what.
Oh, yeah.
So
isn't that movie great? In Search of what about it?
Well, the third one I saw it's going to be like a limited run. Like they're only going to run it for a little while, and that's
really?
it. Yeah, I think it's only running for like 2 weeks, and then they're saying they're pulling it.
Really? Is that Shudder? Is that why you brought that up?
Yeah, I think it's on Shudder. I haven't.
Why would they pull it? That's weird.
I don't know, but it says limited time run and all this stuff.
I like that show. I know you're not into like, hey, this is cool. This is cool. What about that one? That's cool.
Well, no, I'm all into documentaries. I just get to know much for a documentary on Bob Dylan. I just don't like. I like these, except when it's just like, and that's when we change the world, and it's like a fucking documentary about macaroni or something. Like it's just like easy, guys. I mean, they're just always just so up their own ass. Like, relax, guys.
That's true. I like it because it's exposed me to a lot of new movies that I didn't know or like forgot about maybe.
Yeah. No, I like this series. I really do, and they're not really like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes they get a little, but it's fine. There
was one, I forget if it might have been the Eli Roth one or something where it was exactly that, and I was like, I don't even want to watch this.
I think it was the history. It's called like History of Horror or something.
Yeah. I get hiccups. All right. Well, you guys, thank you for hanging out or hanging tough, I think is what I want to say. Hanging tough. And waiting for us to come back. I know a lot of you hung out with us when we did the Monsters live stream. It's really weird, man, that we're not doing like Zombie Watch anymore.
Well, he did he did post about this movie
Halloween.
But the new Halloween.
Okay, what did he say?
He posted a meme of like just people like when his movie came out, being like, this is the worst thing ever, fuck off. And then like, and they have a picture paint like a poster of the old Halloween, and then it says like 2022, and it's the same thing. And it's like, this is the worst thing ever. And then it's his poster. Yeah. But then he in the caption, he's like, I haven't seen the new one. So stop sending me shit.
Yeah.
He's like, I just honestly, man, he says I get burned out on Halloween because I got too involved with it,
I could see that. Well, like when so before we get too far, today's show is Halloween Ends. We got some other stuff to talk about, but we're doing Halloween Ends. But Zombie did his Halloween at a time when there hadn't been Halloween movies for like a decade or so, right?
Yeah, they hadn't done them. The last one before him was Resurrection, I think.
Yeah, and so his was so polarizing and jarring and such a departure from the rest of the series that it's still is still floating around. So when this trilogy came up, it was like it was still kind of in mind's eye, I guess. There wasn't a break, as much of a break. So when he did it, it was like, oh shit, like Rob Zombie is going to do Halloween like Michael Myers. And then it turned out I'm not a fan of that stuff, but
yeah.
I like the first one. But I know you liked this one that we're going to talk about. So but before we get to it, I wanted to tell you in a little what'd you watch, dude. I am hooked on the Orville.
Oh yeah. All right. Finally.
So, but I don't understand. I wrote an article about it for my blog and I haven't posted it because I'm not sure what I want to say. But it's like it's to somebody who's not a Star Trek sweaty like you are.
Yeah.
To me, it does everything that Star Trek wants to do, but it does it. Number one, it does it better. So it's confusing that you and other big major Star Trek fans really like the series because it's not a slap in the face, but it just does it better.
Yeah, there are things that it does.
And I'm talking about not new Star Trek, but like next gen and original series.
Yeah.
As good as those are.
It does everything better than new Star Trek, but everything.
Sure. That stuff aside though.
Yeah. But what it is it's just like, it's the same aesthetic, the same kind of thing. And it's just kind of modernize the storytelling. It's more not serialized, but more like, there's an overarching season-long arc, but they're still episodic. And it's like, it's what the new shit should have been. And it is kind of like, there's the comedy aspect to it, but that fades away. And it's, it becomes,
the comedy's good though. And it's like,
comedy's very,
it's not that it's sparse, but it's, I actually thought it would be funnier, but when it is funny, it's funny and they don't overdo it. And knowing Seth MacFarlane, I thought it would be more dicks and butts, but it's in the comedy is in the characters. Like, man, I know the actor's name is it Jay Lee?
Yeah. John Lamar.
Lamar. Yeah. Like that dude, man, he has some funny ass moments.
He's awesome.
When he's just like, because he's just a regular. I've never seen more of just a regular dude. He's just a regular dude.
Yeah.
And he's on this ship and he's like, there'll be moments where he's just like, oh, that just happened. And just his reaction is hilarious.
That's kind of where they kind of get to relax a little bit too. Like on Next Gen, I mean, the Enterprise is the flagship of, of the Federation. Like it's this is just another ship.
Right.
But they wind up, finding, it's great.
What's his name? The shithead
Bortus
analog.
Yeah. Bortus.
Dude, Bortus is great. Holy shit. Like he comes in and he's like, I would like a mustache.
Oh yeah, when he gets his mustache.
or like the one I was actually expecting a little bit more out of the one where he goes to the bathroom once a year.
Yeah. Okay, you're pretty far in that.
Oh, I'm almost done with season 2.
The one where they and you know what they do really well? They did this with Worf too. Is that like there's comedy in just putting him in regular. Yeah. Like the episode where him and his husband started smoking. Like
you're talking about
Bortus, like they just get into cigarettes. It's just hilarious watching them smoke.
Yeah, I mean, there's times where like they find out his stomach can digest like anything, so they make him eat all this weird shit.
Yeah.
The comedy is great. The characters are great. Seth MacFarlane, I'm really surprised at how he's grown into this role and how convincing he is as a person of authority. The captain.
Yeah. I mean, that guy knows Star Trek. Like, yeah. I mean, when you watch old Family Guy or even like it would like Ted, like I saw Ted before I got into Star Trek, and then I saw Ted and Ted 2 after, and I was like, oh, half this cast is all just old Star Trek actors. Yeah. Like he's a hardcore.
I think sci-fi in general, because he pulled Flash Gordon back in and like,
but he knows his shit. Like I think he's like, well, I'm not making. If he's going to make a Star Trek show, he's going to make, he knows what he wants out of a Star Trek show, and he's making that,
Yeah. The weakest link is his Padalecki, whatever the girl's name is.
Oh, the
His
yeah.
first officer. She is a terrible actress.
Oh, really? I
Like
like her.
she's good. She's fine in the role. I don't mind her at all, but she's really bad. And she always has been. But uh
I
you
was
know,
gonna say, isn't she on Supernatural or something?
briefly in the first series, in the first of 16 seasons. But and then like the aliens are way more thought out and more like effort put into them, even though I know some of them have the ridges. But
It's
it's like,
funny you say that because they got the same guy that did the
really?
aliens for next gen. They did that pretty much everywhere they could. Basically the co-creator of the show um is Brendan Braga,
uh,
who was one of the main guys on next gen. Like and like well a lot of the best episodes like you'll see it like are written by him or
it's
he
just
was he was a big deal. Yeah, they
like,
and music, all this shit they went in
yeah.
and got. Yeah, let's just get the guy. He's
Well,
still.
it surprises me that you say that, because like the arch enemy is the Krill. Like they're
Mhm.
actually like really cool looking, good
Mhm.
makeup effects, like aliens. Fucking Norm Macdonald, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a blob of piss, and like he's great. There's that one episode where he turns human, and it's just Norm Macdonald,
Yeah, and it's
and
weird.
he's like, "What?
Yeah,
This
she's
is
like,
what? This is what I look like." Was this his last thing that he did, you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, yeah, and he's in the last season too.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
the last season, by the way, I don't know how far into the last season you are, but
I'm not in the last season yet.
it's probably it's the best.
But are they not continuing it?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
It's up in the air. I think like they just threw it on Disney Plus.
Right.
I think they're waiting to see, but I think a lot of people are watching it, but it's very much in limbo right now.
Well, who rescued it for season 3, for the newest season?
Hulu.
Hulu did. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and
that's
then yeah, that was Disney, and then basically Disney decided we're going to start throwing R-rated shit on
if
Disney
they're
Plus.
smart, man, they'll do more of this stuff. The so I just finished. I'm a little past it, but I just finished the two-parter where Isaac is revealed as a villain
Yeah.
in his whole world. Dude, that like was almost more Star Wars than Star Wars. Like the battle in space with the
Yeah.
Krill and his people and all that shit. And it looked good. And it was like it went on it was like a 30-minute battle in space. It was amazing.
Yeah. And the ship designs are awesome. Like that's what I love about it is like everybody like
That's what I was gonna ask you.
the Union, like all their ships look different, but they look enough alike that like you can tell like that's a Federation ship. That's a
Yeah.
that's a Krill ship. That's they,
I feel like the Orville, the ship, is either homage or a spoof on something that I'm not catching. Is it
not really.
the
I think
design of it?
it looks a lot like the Voyager. I think, but I mean, it's pretty much original design.
I feel like it looks like a urethra or something. I don't know.
At first, it looks like a joke. Like
Yeah.
I think he pitched it as a Star Trek spoof,
Yeah.
and then just made it into
They
just.
really ran with it, man.
It's funny. He got asked at a con, I think, or it might have been on one of the things, why it's called the Orville.
Yeah.
And it's the coolest answer ever.
Yeah.
Is that like he was reading a biography on the Wright brothers, and
Oh, really?
yeah, Orville Wright.
Redenbacher?
Yeah, I was gonna say Redenbacher. Orville Wright was like the Luigi of the brothers, and wasn't given like all the but he was just as capable and all this others, but everybody kind of saw him as the Garfunkel.
Yeah. Dude,
And
Garfunkel was awesome.
but nobody thinks.
I know.
But that's kind of where he got it.
Yeah.
Was because he was I don't know. I might have something about that wrong, but
That's cool. I'm glad I gave it a shot. Thanks for pressing it so hard, but it definitely lives up to the hype, man. That you
it's so good, man, and they really do. They nail. It's what new Star Trek should be, because new Star Trek or old Star Trek isn't as accessible as it should. And man, there's something they do in the last. I hope not the last episode, but the last episode of season 3, where I'm like, You guys should have done this in episode 1. Like they basically lay out, like in Star Trek, they don't have
spoil
money.
it.
No, it's not. It's just how they explain how something works.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like on Star Trek, they don't have money. They don't have, all this stuff. But they mention that, but they don't ever break down like why and how the system works without any of that shit. And they do it. And it's really, really neat.
Well, they mention it throughout the whole series and it's genius, man. And his political commentary is really good within the show. But they mention whenever they encounter a new planet or something or civilization that's like at war or anything like that, they always say like on Earth, we figured out that if we just supply people with what they need, it gets rid of all these issues. And that's there's no monetary system. It's all based on who you are and what you do, like what you contribute.
Yeah.
I think that is just like, it's so obvious, but it's so genius of a concept that like, why aren't we moving in that direction?
I want to tell you some shit that happens later, but I'm not gonna. But it's so
we'll talk when I finish it. We'll talk more.
Yeah, definitely. maybe we'll do a special,
sure,
episode. Yeah,
definitely. Do you have any other final thoughts on the Munsters?
I've rewatched it like 6 times.
Shut up.
No.
I mean, yeah. We did, for people who haven't seen it, the live stream is on our Instagram. And we watched the movie live with folks, and it was fun, but it was just like a friend of the show, Charlie Gushy, said it best. It was just like, this happens, then this happens, then this happens. There's no story,
Yeah.
I wish that they had continued with the aesthetic of the beginning with all the colors that we were complaining about. Because by the time it got to America, it was just wrap this shit up. I want to get out of here,
And they did. That ending is like the funniest thing. Here's some money. Okay. End of movie.
Yeah.
What?
Oh my God.
It reminds me of there's an episode of The Simpsons where the kids get caught on a like desert island.
Yeah.
And the whole episode, like they basically run out of time and they're still stuck on the island at the end. And then James Earl Jones comes in with a voiceover and he goes, and so everything worked out. And the kids were rescued eventually by, let's say, Mo. And then it just ends.
That's awesome. Another what'd you watch today when I was doing some work? I've never seen a Final Destination movie, and I think it was number 3.
Oh, it's with the roller coaster?
I don't know. I just remember it ended with a horse that was on the 4th of July with a horse running around with a rope and a stake, and people were just getting fucked up.
Yeah.
That movie, and I'm sure they're all the same formula. They're pretty pointless, but they have really good kills.
Yeah.
There was one where like this girl fell backwards against a shelf that had a nail gun, and then like the nail gun just kept shooting nails into the back of her head as she raised her hand to be like, what's happening to me? And then her hand got nailed to her face, and then she died. It was insane.
I think that's 3 because that one was in 3D.
Gruesome. Pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
People were getting like just fucked up, man.
I remember I really hated 2, but like 2 has a lot of the best kills, but I remember just being like really pissed that like the story didn't make any sense. And then like years later, I was like, what's the matter with you? Like,
well, you're
not going for that.
It's like, it's like people are just constantly doing stupid shit that leads to accidents. And they keep going like, whoa, that was close. And then it's like a hatchet falls onto the controls of a forklift that drives into a shelf and things fall on people. And it's like, what are we doing here? It's like ghost versions of the Three Stooges or something. I don't know. But it was cool kills. I really dug the kills.
Yeah, I like those movies.
What else is on my list? Did you watch the new Mike Flanagan show?
No, I was curious about even what it was. Is it like a kid show or is it like
well,
I thought I saw stuff from other things that already exist.
No, dude. So Netflix,
That
I don't know.
trailer, I
Yeah,
don't know.
when
Yeah.
you like Netflix needs to redo their interface. When you hover over something like it's called the Midnight Club, you hover over it, it shows this what's it called, a hot reel or like a
Yeah.
whatever it's called of all of
Scissor reel.
yeah, a sizzle reel
Yeah.
of all of Flanagan's work. It just
Yeah,
flies through
that's what I
and
saw.
it makes
Yeah.
you think that that's like the trailer for the show, and it's not. But the show is, and it's also, I don't know why he chose this name because last year it was Midnight Mass,
Yeah.
which was excellent. Remember the
Yeah.
vampire thing? This is called the Midnight Club, not related. And it's the main characters are a group of kids that have terminal cancer, and they go to this hospice run by Nancy from
Nightmare on Elm
Nightmare on Elm
Street.
Street, and who's the best, I think the best, one of the best parts of the show. And it just kind of like the premise is the kids at night gather in the library and tell each other ghost stories. And so that's the majority of the bulk of the show are these stories that the kids are telling. Um, there's a in the reality there's like a story arc as well, but it's definitely Flanagan's weakest stuff because it ends on a cliffhanger, and I think he intends to do a second season. But Netflix has this bad habit of like canceling shit
Yeah.
without going back to it, you know? So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But it's worth a watch. It's just not his best stuff.
All right. Yeah, I was curious. My brother-in-law watched it
Yeah.
and he said it was worth checking out.
I wouldn't rush to it. There's other things that you should
Yeah.
watch. Hellraiser, the new Hellraiser is not one of those things.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, you can't top the first movie, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You know?
apparently there's a show coming out and
Yeah, they're trying to really push into the property.
well, it's like someone just realized they had the rights to it and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, like we gotta what are we
Let's
doing
do
here?
some of this.
People know what this is."
Yeah. You know, I'm not a huge Hellraiser fan, but that first movie is A plus horror, you know?
Yeah.
This one is, hey, let's try to be more clever than we actually are, you know?
All right.
And it's just the gore isn't there. Like, you remember that dude? He's like who escapes from hell and he's just a puddle and the whole thing is him.
Mm-hmm.
She feeds him all these dudes. Like, that's freaky as fuck. I never forget that. That kind of shit is not in this movie. So I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe yeah. I wasn't really planning on checking it out, but
I like the design of the new Pinhead, but she doesn't have really a big part. So it's kind of like a bunch of fuss for nothing. I don't know. It's a shame. You haven't, it's not really horror, but you haven't watched Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones.
I haven't, and I'm just kind of like, well, I don't know. I feel like at this point with both those franchises, I'm like, fool me once, like shame on
there's
you.
there's no fooling. There's no fooling.
Well, I mean, what I mean is like, I got I feel like I don't like the ending of the original Game of Thrones, and I don't. That's really? Both of these. And it's not even that. It's that both these shows aren't like they're not by the original. Like neither of them have anything to do with like George R. R. Martin isn't working on this show, right?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, he is.
They're based. So the showrunner is Stefan Shapotsnik. He directed the best episodes of the original Game of Thrones. Steven, maybe, or something. Shapotsnik. Okay. And then some other guy that I didn't recognize, but Game of Thrones, the original, is, I'll always say until something better comes along, I think it's the best writing in television so far in history. This, including the ending, this is very good. It's very good. It's different though, because it's like 200 years prior to Khaleesi. But man, some awesome characters, dude.
I'll give it a shot eventually. I'll do a Better Call Saul where like I'll wait for a while,
Yeah, I did that with the original stuff too. I waited. The hype was too much.
Yeah, and Lord of the Rings, I just don't have. I don't have it in me to be like, you know what I mean? It feels, I mean, maybe the show's good, but it just feels exploitive. It just feels like
I get that.
We have to make it because, you know what I mean? Like, because you know, it's just like I hate to bring up Star Trek again, but like, if you take the name Lord of the Rings off this show, is anybody watching it? Like, is it still any good?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I wonder,
it's
you know?
definitively Lord of the Rings. It's basically like it's like a Galadriel, Elrond, Sauron origin story. Um, I think it's smart though to wait. It's done, you know, the season's over, but I think it's smart to have waited because Lord of the Rings is better served as a one chunk of a movie. The serialization of it week to week didn't work for me, but that didn't diminish the quality of the show. All the acting is great, the effects are great, the characters are great. There's not really a weak link within the show. My only gripe is I'd rather have a movie and the they didn't really there's not enough um fantasy elements like monsters and stuff, but the story's there. It's definitely worth watching.
I heard season 2 is not gonna be around for another like 3 years or something.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I heard they spent a lot of money. I mean, it's the most expensive show ever, but
Is it
yeah, of all time. Every episode costs like something like $70 million. It's crazy.
really?
If you look about how much they spent on the show, it's
Because I'd say, I mean, Game of Thrones looks like they has far more elements to it. This Lord of the Rings show focuses heavily on like the community of the hobbits, um, and the community of the elves and the community of the dwarves. So you don't get these adventures like Bilbo and Frodo had where they keep encountering weird shit. It's all like within the communities, you know, which is a different, it's cool, but it's just a slower show, a slower story.
I'm gonna wait on both of them, and you know,
it's good though. There's nothing bad about them. It's just, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
What else you got? You got anything else?
No, I'm watching a lot of old movies. That's what's been nice. We don't really have that many shows. We had one with that therapist show that we stopped because it was really good. That Steve Carell therapist. It's called like the therapist or the psychiatrist or something.
Okay.
But it's really good. And we watched like 4 in a row and it was awesome. But then because they're all like a half an hour long, and then we realized like, okay, now we got to go to week. And it was like, fuck that. We watched one and we are like, no. We're waiting until it's done. So we're watching a lot of old stuff, and especially with half-hour stuff like that show Severance. We watched that. That was awesome.
Really?
But if I had to do that every week, I'd be like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Severance is really good.
As long as I can avoid spoilers, I think I'm gonna, which I've been really good at. I mean, nowadays it's like you either something's either spoiled intentionally or not. So I think it's better to just wait until a series is over. It's just I don't really waiting a week is just it's bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, unless it gets on like a Game of Thrones level where everybody's watching it.
Right.
Yeah, you're good. Like no, but I still don't know what like Yellowstone is like this huge show that everybody talks about, and I don't know anything about it. You know, yeah. I know Kevin Costner's in it. That's you know, and if someone came up to me and was like, "Oh, dude, Boris dies in the 4th episode,"
yeah,
I'd be like,
you can't spoil it, but that's not an event.
I don't
show,
know what that is.
You
know what I mean?
That's not an event show and it's not tied to any kind of like lore. You know.
Yeah.
But
that's what I want. I want original. Call me crazy. I want original content, man. I'm so sick of all these remake. Nothing gets made unless it's just.
Well, Game of Thrones is that, you know, Game of Thrones, it's based on books, but none of us have read the books.
But not the show. The show is like.
No, this show is
Game of Thrones is successful, and then let's make more Game of Thrones. Like everything is just more. This
show has something to do with the books, or George R.R. Martin's involved in something.
It's not even that I don't even care so much about that. It's just like I just want something that isn't. That's why Midnight Mass was so amazing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
It's because that's it. Like that's why I loved Nope because I had nothing to compare it to. Nope's great, but like. I have nothing to compare it to. Like, it's not like I'm comparing it to the original Nope or like, you know,
dude, have you seen the original Nope?
it's just good, and then that's it. Like, there's no,
it's called No Sir.
you know, and it's like, you know, it's everything wrong with the movie we're talking about. Is like, ugh.
The only way that this all this stuff the only thing that all this stuff works with is Andor, the new Star Wars series.
Yeah, which
that's worked like week to week because it's such full episodes. You know, it's good if you haven't watched it. Not to bring another thing into the conversation, but all right, should we talk about Halloween Ends?
Yeah, let's
talk about pumpkin dies tonight. All right, so number 3 in the trilogy. Number 1 was the number 1 just called Halloween.
Yeah.
And then Halloween Pies.
Well, yeah, it was the pumpkin pies.
And then this one's Halloween Ends. So the first one was bad, but at least it like wasn't terrible. Or it was terrible. It was bad. It was pretty bad. The second one was worse, but at least it had Michael Myers in it. This one, Kevin, are you ready? Are you sitting down?
Yeah.
All right. So I have a list of the worst movies ever made. And it seems like every couple of years a new one overtakes the number 1. In the past, it's been Suicide Squad, the theatrical release of Justice League, and that Predator movie that was like 2 or 3 years ago.
The Predator.
Predator. Those were like all floating around. This is the worst movie that's ever been made, I think. This is the worst movie that has ever fucking been made for numerous reasons, but the biggest is because it's called Halloween and it has nothing to do with Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it takes place on Halloween night, maybe, but you liked it though. Tell me why.
No, I didn't. This was like when I got the text from you, like, hey, I just saw it. We gotta record an episode about it. I was like,
I don't see why you weren't like, hell yeah. Because
I knew it was gonna be bad.
Yeah, but so what?
But it was like, okay. I'm like, all right, I'll watch it. And
like you were gonna watch the first 2, but not the last one?
Yeah. It was like I was saying before, fool me once. Like
nobody fooled you.
First one, no, the first one
is what it is.
I went and saw it and I'm like, oh, this sucks. Second one, that's on me. I should have known it was gonna suck. This one, like, I wouldn't have watched it if you hadn't pulled me back in.
This one, I just don't even know. I think it's the first. People seem to really like the second one, didn't they?
No, it made a lot of money, but that's it.
This one seems to be universally disliked.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
Well, this one, yeah, it's funny too,
and it's because Myers isn't in it. He's not in it.
Yeah, I mean,
he's probably got.
Well, not only that,
10 minutes of screen time.
I wouldn't even care about that. I mean, it would be annoying, but it doesn't even line up with the last one. Didn't the last one end with him like getting super strength and murdering the whole fucking town?
Yeah.
Like, why is he living in?
And then he disappears, right?
He disappears for 4 years, and he lives in a sewer. And apparently now he's They're finally addressing that he's like probably in his late 60s.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like
he's living in a sewer, eating rats, and I guess homeless people, like pulling homeless people in and eating them. But he's feeble, and
he gets his ass kicked by this dork. Like,
geez, this guy, man, this dude.
Oh, Corey.
What? I don't even know.
It reminds me of like if they ever make a documentary like about Halloween and then they get to like this chapter, like the Friday the 13th one.
Yeah.
They
and when there's a Nightmare on Elm Street one too.
When they get to Jason Goes to Hell, they're interviewing the 2 guys that did it, and they were like, yeah, I don't know what we were thinking, man. We thought it would be really cool to do a Jason movie where Jason's not in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, we thought we were.
Yeah.
But we didn't. But they're like, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Like, we had just done like a deodorant commercial, and then they hired us. Like,
dude, I have a real problem. from the outset, dude. I had a problem. What's his name? David Gordon Green. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Does Seth Rogen have something to do with this or no?
Kind of. Not this. He doesn't.
What
But
about
like
Danny McBride?
Danny McBride is this guy's right. Like they literally like went to high school together.
Okay.
They've been writing partners their whole lives.
If you want to smoke weed and do things, that's fine. But if your intent is to make a professional movie in Hollywood, sober up for a minute and like just.
Danny McBride wrote this. He's got a writing credit. Yeah.
I know. He's a shitty writer, man. This is the worst writing I've ever seen. But if you like, I remember when the first one was announced and David Gordon Green was like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna include the first movie, but we're gonna trash everything else. Everything else to me, that's him saying that's arrogance, man. Yeah. That is him saying that number 2 is a great movie. And it follows in suit. It's the next same night as the first one. It's an extension of the story. And then Halloween 3 has Season of the Witch has nothing to do with Michael Myers because they didn't know what they had with him, with the character. So 1 and 2 are one story. For him to throw that out, man, and make what he made, if his stuff was cool and good and better, awesome. Hey, well, but this is some of the worst writing in movies at all. And ideas, just there's really no ideas.
It's why are we making it? It's because we own the IP,
right?
It's like, oh, you mean that great? Okay, so I mean, we you go back to our first one where we talked about the last Halloween, but like think about that. Like, okay, you're gonna delete Halloween 2 and the other. I think I get taken 4, 5, and 6 out.
Sure,
like that makes sense. There's a lot of weight there. Yeah, but there's a lot there, and like
the trilogy.
Okay, let's say you're gonna drop 2. Fine. That's the idea of that is like that ending and then jumping 40 years and he comes back. That's awesome. And except that they're like, oh yeah, but we caught him like an hour later. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, and he's been in prison for 40 years. Like, which makes even less sense. Like, it would be one thing to get like this like Bionic Commando version of Laurie Strode, like that would make sense if they never caught the guy. You know what I mean? Like for her to be like, okay, I've been making this booby trap house for 40 years.
Right.
I buy that.
Absolutely.
If they never caught the dude.
Absolutely.
But he's been in maximum security prison for 40 fucking years.
Yeah.
Like,
he would have escaped by now. So him escaping and how he did is just like, dude, come on, like do something better. Shout out to my good friend Dan from Death by Toys. He's like the biggest Michael Myers fan that I know. And he made the simple point of like Michael Myers in the first movie as the Shape falls out the window. Loomis looks down. He's gone.
Yeah.
That is one of the greatest endings in horror history. Yep. And I think you might have even said that in one of our other podcasts. Then number 2 comes along and it's like, okay, same night he's back. He vanished. The cops couldn't get him, but he's back. Fine. But they made a good movie continuing that story. But this, they say 2 is garbage. He falls out the window and we catch him immediately and we put him in prison. And like you said, 40 years. But even that is a stretch for her to be like planning this thing, even if he had never been caught. So then you get like in number 2, she's this wannabe Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
And it's like, just go away. Like, you're not interesting and blah, blah, blah.
You talking Halloween Kills?
Halloween Kills. Is that
where she sits in a fucking hospital bed for the entire
movie? Right. And then you get this movie, which jumps again, what'd you say, 4 years?
Yeah.
And it's just like, to do what you did in the middle movie, in the second one, Halloween Kills, with her character being bedridden and at least not engaging Michael Myers. And then to go to this movie where then you take Michael Myers out of the picture and she's in it all over the place. It just, to me, screams like a lack of focus, intent. Again, like,
why are you making
sober
this?
Up for a second and write some lines, like it's just all garbage. And then to bring in this dude, this new
Corey, and to name him Corey, like, What are you thinking? What are you thinking with that? Like, hey, I got an idea. Hey, writers room. I got an idea. How about we don't put Michael Myers in it that much at
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
but we have this like dork.
Yeah. I like dorks.
Like what? Why? Who would ever? You know what I mean? Like, who would ever be like, oh, you know what the best like Friday the 13th is the one like where like people criticize what is it 5 because it's not technically Jason.
Oh, it's the EMT.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like that one, at least he's wearing a hockey mask and killing people, and you don't
Right.
know it's a copycat killer till later. But like,
They attempt that with this, but it's like the I don't know. Are they implying, when he's in the sewer
I gotta get on. Okay, yeah,
and
okay,
he
hang
and
on.
he can
Don't even get me started. Okay, like this is the thing about this. It's so stupid. First of all, before I get into that, let me get into like the beginning. It was funny. Like Lynn doesn't watch movies like this, and we were there, and she was all excited. She's like, I want to watch a scary movie. And I'm like, this isn't gonna be scary. It's gonna be stupid. And she's like, I think it's gonna be. And she's like, it might not. We don't watch the same kind of stuff, so it might scare me. And I'm like, yeah, fine. So like we watch it, we're watching it, and like the part where the very beginning where the kid falls down the stairs, we
Yeah.
had the two most opposite reactions. I
You're laughing.
I laughed my fucking ass off when he hit the deck like that.
Yeah.
And she like stood up. She's like, "Oh my god, I'm done. Turn this off."
Seriously?
Yeah, I had to turn it off. I had to watch an hour of Seinfeld bloopers just to
Oh
like
my
cleanse her palate.
gosh.
I know, but I was
That
like,
that scene, man. I mean,
that got my hopes up because I was
yeah,
like,
a little
all
bit.
right, you know,
But what it also did, I mean, that was probably the best writing of the whole movie, where they they present that situation and he dies, and you're like, but wait, this was a huge intro to something that had nothing to do with Michael Myers. But then they immediately cut and they show like all this the how the people have been affected. But I'm like, dude, that's pretty extreme for like after 4 years of like the tension, the PTSD, I guess, of that night affecting these people in that way.
fuck
It's like,
off with
get
that.
out of here, like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Dude, this town, you know what this whole like this David Gordon Green trilogy feels like? It feels like your buddy who can't get over his ex-girlfriend and just never shuts the fuck up about her. And you're just like, after like 8 years, you're just like, dude, I can't anymore, man. You need to either get back with her or don't, or get like, I can't listen to you talk about this girl anymore.
Yeah.
That's what this franchise is with Michael Myers. It's like, dude, either get over it or don't, or just
but more than anything, like it just lacks creativity. And one thing that the last movie at least had was there were some great kills in that movie. The when he attacks the couple and he stabs the woman with the fluorescent light bulb, and like he goes after somebody with a hand. There's like some of that stuff, but like if you're not gonna without him you need him in the movie to do that shit. So
but like what okay, so I hated the whole like he looks him in the eye and like he's got this like even, like, is this supernatural? Is it a curse? What is this? Like,
I saw a clickbaity article that was like, I didn't read it, but it was like Halloween Ends finally solidifies or that Michael Myers has supernatural powers, and it's like, dude, this guy can barely stand in this movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was going on when Corey climbs into the tunnel, into the fucking sewer, and he's confronted with him. They look at each other in the eye, and now all of a sudden he's the new Michael Myers, and he takes his mask and like just pushes him over, and like,
what is that?
What is happening?
And then Laurie sees it too. Like, oh, like think about that. Like, think about you got this new boyfriend, and like your grandmother is just like, I don't like him. I can see that he's a serial killer. How? I don't know. I can just see it in his eyes. You'd be like, fuck off.
When 10 minutes earlier, she's like, come meet my granddaughter.
Yeah. Like, give me
Why don't you guys go out on a date? It's just the character of Corey was so just like nothing, but also too much of too many things. Like he's getting pushed around by these high school kids, and he's like a grown ass adult. What are you doing, man? Like, what kind of person are you?
Yeah, and then he's supposed to be like the serial killer, where like, and then like, How about when like when he's wearing the mask and he's stabbing that guy? First of all, he doesn't have any like the idea of Michael Myers as just this like unstoppable like killing machine. Like if you're in his path, he's gonna kill you. You know what I mean? That's interesting, kind of like it's like that's that he doesn't discriminate.
That's not really Michael Myers. That's Jason. Michael Myers is hiding in the shadows in the closet. Remember?
Yeah.
um, like,
but he doesn't
just waiting. He's patient.
Yeah. But what I mean is, he's not. He's if you're in the house, like he's not sneaking out of the house. You know what I mean? He's gonna kill you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he doesn't need a motive. He doesn't even need to know who you are.
Right.
This guy's doing like petty bullshit, like the radio DJ that's like, get off my roof, asshole.
Yeah.
Like he goes and like kills that guy.
Yeah.
Like it's just petty, stupid bull. Like fuck off with this guy.
Like why are you going after these people?
Or the scene where he's got the doctor and he's killing him with the bag and stabbing him, and then like Michael Myers comes in and like does this thing, and he's doing like a teach me thing, and it's like I think he says teach me or like show me how, and it's like show you how to stab somebody. Like this isn't Bruce Lee like Kill Bill shit. It's like you stab him with a machete. That's how you do it.
That scene with the doctor and the nurse lent itself to something kind of interesting, but they threw it out the window as soon as it came in. But the fact that there was the Michael Myers business or whatever you want to call it was going to be handed down or co-opted by this kid, but that they were tag teaming it almost, that there was an interesting aspect in there. Like he's stabbing the dude, and then the chick runs away, and then Michael Myers is at the door, and they both kind of like attacking the situation. That could have been taken to an interesting area, but then they just had Corey like try to take over the whole thing, and it just
like
didn't work on any level. I don't know.
Well, what are they thinking?
No,
like,
they're not.
Oh, you know what? Halloween's awesome. The one where Corey takes over. It's just like,
and that's
Corey. Oh, he just sucks. Everything about him sucks.
But what sucks most about him is that the writers think that the audience wants the Michael Myers character to be legacy. No, nobody wants that. Yeah. No, it's never been the case for any slasher. Like Jason Voorhees is Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers is Michael Myers, and Freddy Krueger is Freddy Krueger. You don't supplant them with another character just because they're also psycho or something. Like Michael Myers, the franchise of Halloween is built on the story of Michael Myers and him being a fuck up since he was a toddler, an insane kid since he killed his sister in the first one. And like, it's just, this kid didn't earn it. Corey didn't earn it. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a legacy character.
He's just a little bitch. And like everybody that he's killing has like a legitimate beef. Like they're like, oh, you're a fuck up. You're an asshole. You killed my kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like like everybody, even like the guy who get off my roof is like, like just to go over. It's just who's rooting for this? Like that's the thing about these movies. Like,
there's nobody rooting for this kid.
I mean, as much as like, you're not rooting for Michael Myers, but like you kind of are.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like you're there to see him kill people.
Yeah, you're not there to see this dude who thinks he can take over for Michael Myers. It's like that's not why we're here.
And like even like that at first, I'm like, are they trying to like? Are they trying to like legacy? Like, is there going to be a Halloween movie that? But like like I could see doing
that doesn't have Michael Myers.
Yeah, like we're gonna keep it going, but like without my what?
Why?
Like, but they're not even doing that because they kill him at the end of the movie. And
that
the funniest way possible, by the way,
dude. The ending was just dumb. It's just dumb
with Corey or with
all of it. Corey's actually like his death was actually fine because he was the whole time he's saying, if I can't have the granddaughter, no one will. And the way that he takes her away from Jamie Lee Curtis is by killing himself.
I'll tell you what, that line is they need to rewrite that line. it shouldn't have been
on
if
that, just
I
that
if I
line. No.
well no, but like it shouldn't have been if I can't have her, no one will. Or like it should have been if I can't have her, you can't either.
Sure.
Because just because he's dead doesn't mean she can't date
Meet
anybody.
somebody else who has
Yeah,
no
it's
idea
just
what. Yeah.
he is actively being like, hey,
Yeah.
fuck you. Then I'm gonna frame you.
Right.
I'm gonna
Right.
basically frame you for murder.
Right.
But like, yeah, like it should have been. Well, then you won't ever either. And then that it because otherwise it makes no sense.
Totally. Back to the ending. So we get we get the black cop sheriff, whatever he is,
Oh, his dude,
who is not in the movie at all. But
that's
he
what he's
shows up.
in the second movie. He's like that too, where he's not in it at all, and he's in it for like two,
But at
like
least he's
one
like
line.
he's kind of floating. He's supposed to be the guy who's in charge. Is he in the first one?
Yeah,
He is. See, and then he's not in this one until the very last scene, and he shows up and he's like, "Tonight we're not doing things by the book."
well,
Whatever the
because
fuck he said.
the last one he kept telling everybody like, "Hey, fucking go back in your house."
Yeah.
Like he was
And
trying to.
now he just shows up. Like we're supposed to care about this character, like he's or even know who he is.
Yeah.
Get out of here. And then the one character that they do that is recognizable and they do use is, I always forget his name. You know who I'm talking about? The old guy,
the coach from Remember the Titans. Yeah.
I always forget his name.
I forget his name too, and he's a good actor.
He is, but man, he looks rough in this movie. He looks old as hell. He looks way older than Jamie Lee Curtis.
Not only that, like who gives a shit? Like in the first one, at least he's the sheriff.
Yeah.
He gets killed in the first one, and then in the second one, it's like, oh no, nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, okay. But like, and the second one, he sits in a hospital bed and talks to her all the time. And then this one, like, it's so weird. It's like they're doing this weird like rom-com between these like scenes with Corey and Michael, and they check in with Laurie, and she's like flirting with this guy at the supermarket. Like, what? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And then, here's another weird thing. So okay, let's just look at the life of Laurie Strode in these movies. Okay.
Yeah.
She gets terrorized when she's like 16. That guy gets arrested the next day. She spends 40 years building a fucking Rambo house, and like just in case he breaks out, and like becomes this like shutter. Yeah, her whole house or her whole life is like basically destroyed because she's such a like paranoid weirdo about it, you know. Then he comes back after 40 years. She was right. He burns down her house. He escapes. He kills half the town, kills her daughter, and then that's when she's like, okay, now I can relax. Like he's on the loose at the end of the last movie.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm just gonna relax. I need to get back. And she's living like a normal life. She's got a regular
That's
haircut.
a great point. That's a great point. She can't rest for 40 years while he's in jail, but she can start up a new home and write a book and do Martha Stewart shit for 4 years while he's on the loose.
Yeah.
Fuck off, you idiot.
He
David Gordon Green. You know what? Seth Green, I want to invite you over for snacks sometime. We're going to hang out and watch a movie. David Gordon Green, you're on my list. Go fuck yourself. I'm trading a green for a green, Kevin. You heard it here first.
Man,
what a dickhead David Gordon Green is. Fuck off.
Like, did you see your last movie? Like,
yeah, man. At least the last one, he was in it, and it had a couple, like when Michael Myers was in the last movie, I really liked how he looked. He was always just looked that imposing, stoic, terrifying, just presence. The fact that he's not in this movie doesn't help that. And when he is, for the 10 minutes that he is, he's fumbling around and being pushed over by a dickhead. And then the ending, what kind of town is this where they all join together, like the cathartic moment for the town who's been experiencing suicidal PTSD for the last 4 years. The cathartic moment is that they all parade him down the streets, which, how did they all know that there was a parade going on in the first place? How did they know that I didn't see the announcement on the bullhorn or like on the local TV channels. All of a sudden the entire town is out as if the Cubs just won the World Series on TV and everybody knows about it. And so they all take him to a fucking tree chipper or whatever is happening. And Laurie Strode is the one to pull him in. I was praying, man, that she was going to slip and fall in with him. And that would be the end of all this bullshit. Just the worst, the absolute worst.
I wish, man. That's the thing. Like this franchise, to their credit, the last one was way too up its own ass. Yeah. Like about all these like grandiose things about evil and
pumpkin pies tonight.
Right. But like this one, at least they toned that down a bit, but they still take themselves too seriously. I would have loved a scene of like Laurie and her granddaughter and like the sheriff, whatever, they get in the car and like, I don't know, what do we do with them? Do we throw them off a bridge? No. Oh, we should take him to the dump and put him in a tree shredder. Oh, okay. I like that. Where do you know how to get there? Like, like how we get? Let's get the whole town involved.
Yeah.
Like like how long
did they knock on all the doors and say, "Hey, yo, we got him. Check him out. He's right here. He's on the truck. You see over there on the truck on top. No, he's the thing on top of the truck.
Yeah,
we tied him to it.
Not, but he doesn't even have his mask.
Yeah,
remember because he took his mask off.
And that's something I really, really, really hate, man. Because you see when he's in the sewer and he takes his mask, he sits up as if he's going to do something about it. And he turns and you kind of see the actor's face. And there's multiple scenes where that happens. And that's a disservice to the character of Michael Myers.
Well, you know what's weird too? I mean, this is a little different, but like, I like that, like, he's just like freak strong.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite things they ever did was that scene.
I want a shirt, freak strong.
Yeah. I mean, he is like just like that. I mean, it's not in one of the regular in Rob Zombie's Halloween where he kills that black guy in the bathroom and where he gets jumpsuit. It's just like, dude, like this guy that's 6'5", like not jacked, but like super just strong, just slamming your head into the wall until you just whatever. Like I buy that, but like as soon as like Corey puts on the mask and he starts doing that shit, like dude, this guy was getting beat up by high schoolers.
Yeah, dude.
In the last scene.
Fucking by the way, emo high schoolers.
Those aren't. Yeah, that's not even the football team. Did you see their jacket? That's the marching band. I'm dead serious.
I know the one was a drummer. Is the Zach Morris kid was also? I mean, I'm sure he was. Yeah, dude. And you know what? He doesn't know how to write characters either. Well, obviously Corey is an example of that. But there should never be. It's one thing to write characters that you don't like, but you shouldn't write characters that the audience just puts the audience off, in a way that they don't want to continue to watch those villains get their due. Like I just didn't want to see those kids again because they just weren't good characters. And this dude, he just doesn't know how to write.
I'll tell you what, what's wild to me though is like David Gordon Green, like 20 years ago, was putting out movies like these really like these strong independent dramas. Like his first like 3 or 4 movies.
Like what? Remains of the Day?
No, he has like
Oliver Twist.
He did a movie called All the Real Girls. He did a movie called Snow Angels with Sam Rockwell. He had a couple. He had like 3 or 4 of these, and they're like these super character driven dramas.
Really?
And they're amazing. They're really, really, really good. And then he met up with like James Franco and those guys. And he started making like, I think he made Pineapple Express. He made that movie Your Highness, which I was so pumped for. I saw it first day and it's a piece of shit. And it's just, and then he started doing like all the Seth Rogen-y movies.
Yeah.
And all of his weren't any good. And Pineapple Express is okay.
It's okay.
But like Lindsay really likes it. But like,
it's dumb. It's dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
but like, and then when he's doing these, I'm like, it's so annoying. And I think I read an interview with him where he was like, yeah, I didn't want to make these like angsty movies about guys in their 20s anymore because I'm not that guy anymore. But and I get that, but like, dude, you're Michael Jordan playing baseball right now. Yeah. Like that's how good
know your place. Know what you're good at.
You're so good at this other thing, and you're dicking around with, and you're not any good at this.
Right. You know what he wants to do next.
Oh, they're doing it. They're doing The Exorcist.
Oh, fuck off.
He's signed on. Like he's doing The Exorcist.
Who's okaying this stuff?
Because these movies make a ton of money. Like,
did this one though? I don't think this one did.
This one made a lot of money, but it made less than the other two. The other two made like fucking crazy money.
Really?
Yeah, but that's not because of David Gordon Green.
No,
that's because it's Halloween and it's a
It's Michael
Halloween,
Myers. It's Michael Myers.
and it's a fucking October.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
that's why they make a ton of money.
Yeah.
Like people want to go see a Halloween movie.
Right.
Like,
Right. I really hope, man. We were earlier when I was talking about the time between Rob Zombie or the time between the original stuff, Rob Zombie, and this. Um, Usually, like Spider-Man, they have to exercise the IP. So every 3 years, you get another Spider-Man movie or a reboot of the franchise. I don't really care for that when they do that, but this is an instance where I really hope I would love to see another reboot of the Halloween franchise just to get this the fuck out of here. Like, let's move on from this because Michael Myers, man, Jason Voorhees is my guy. I love the Friday the 13th. I love Jason, the character, but Michael Myers, when last year when I did like the whole rewatch and of the original stuff, he's the most interesting out of the bunch. And there's so much you can do with him if you just get away from Jamie Lee Curtis, put it in the hands of someone who's going to write a simple slasher story, reboot the franchise, fine, and just focus it on Michael Myers and his kills. And you've got a winner, And I just hope they do that sooner than later because I don't want this to sit on in the atmosphere as the current and predominant Michael Myers stuff, which is bullshit to even say because I know we're joking about how little he's in this movie. He's not in this movie. He's not a focal point of this movie. This kid is.
I mean, it boggles me that like that they thought this was, and it's not even like it's one thing if this feels like a movie where like they've got like in the last Rob Zombie like Devil's Reject movie, Three from Hell, like Sid Haig was on his way out. He was gonna die, so they didn't have him that much. Like it was like, all right, and they got him for like a week, and then they shot everything they could and they wrote around it. You know what I mean? Like, and they replaced him with another guy.
Really?
So, like, yeah,
like from the back or something like that.
No, he's in it enough. Like basically, they write it in that he just dies in the beginning of the movie, and not to spoil anything, but like that's what it feels like. It feels like okay, we don't have that much, but this is a guy in a mask. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, if it really feels like one of those deals where the actor's too old and we can't. We have to. It feels like they have to write around Michael Myers, or like when an actor dies between movies and they have to address.
I see what you're saying.
But
I think this is just an example of bad writing rather than
because there's no reason.
Situation. Yeah, he's got a mask.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, especially if this is like, by the way, like this is your big, like, if the way you're trying to put this is the big end of the Halloween franchise.
Yeah.
You're gonna make the last chapter. You're gonna bring in a character
about somebody else that no one gives a shit about.
Like, why? What kind of storytelling is that?
Yeah.
Imagine if you're reading a book and like, can you imagine if you're reading the Game of Thrones and then the last book, a brand new character shows up and becomes the entire focal? Like, what if a Jon Snow level character shows up in the last book? Like, what are you talking about?
Well, and then also if your intent is succession, he dies. So what are we doing? Like, there's no point. There really is no point to his character because what did it do? What did Corey's character and his story arc in this movie do for Michael Myers' character? Nothing. So like, what's the point? He's pointless. And it doesn't teach us a lesson about what it is to be Michael Myers. It doesn't teach us a lesson or give us insight on like the concept of the Halloween movies as a whole. All it is this guy, David Gordon Green, thinking he's got something to flex and something better than what's come before or better than what can be done, and just falling on his fucking nuts. It's like, I mean,
I could even see like I could even see like thinking about like, okay, here's the deal. What if it's this guy and he starts off the good guy of the movie and then slowly like he becomes the Michael Myers, and like you don't know if he's gonna go good or bad, but like he's so unlikable from the jump.
Yeah. And especially his mouth, it's weird.
everything about him is just like, dude, this guy sucks. And like, and right away, like they don't, or even to be like, make it look like it's Michael Myers the whole time, and then it turns out to be him. Like, but right from the jump, he just decides to start
Michael
murdering
Myers
people.
shows up and is like, "That's my mask,"
But for no
something.
reason.
Right?
I mean, I get that the guy got a raw deal because everybody thinks he killed this kid, which he did, by the way. Like, even that's the other thing is like, he's like, oh, no, I didn't kill
He
him.
was a
It's
little
like,
dickhead though.
yeah, but he definitely did. Whether it was it was an accident, and the kid was a piece of shit. But like,
what?
I mean,
By the way, what was up with the really weird tension in the beginning? There was like sexual tension between him and the mom. There was a weird, weird tension between him
with
and
the
the
dad.
dad. And then there was a weird, just every character that Corey came in contact with in that opening scene. Every time he would talk to the kid or the mom, they'd sit on his face like, like
Yeah,
he was creepy and we're supposed to. I thought he was gonna just like
I thought he was gonna. I thought he was gonna be Drew Barrymore. I thought he was gonna get killed at the beginning of the movie. And it was just,
but to do that, you got to have a actor like Drew Barrymore where you go, oh, Drew Barrymore's in this, and then they get killed. But nobody gave a shit about this guy.
There's all the
beginning,
and there's all these like I've got it playing, by the way, in the background. Like, I used to do that in the beginning when my internet connection was shittier. But like, I have the movie playing in the background so I can remember to talk about this shit. But like, I'm watching the opening scene. And like, there's all this like stuff where like the knife is missing when he goes to look in the kitchen. It's like, oh, where's that? And then he just finds it upstairs, and you're like, okay, that's gonna come back, and then does it. Like, so what happened with that knife? The kid just took it and then dropped it halfway up the stairs. Why?
Why exactly?
Why? Because you need the knife, like, and you don't even need.
He picked the knife up, and then did he bring it with him when he got locked in the room upstairs?
Yeah, like
but he didn't do anything with it.
No, he doesn't stab the kid or anything.
So it's all just like, oh, this guy's going to get too pissed at the kid and stab him. But instead, he accidentally kicks the door open and knocks the kid down 17 flights of stairs in the biggest house in Haddon. I don't know, man. While we've been talking, I've been trying to think of ways that this could have been at least more entertaining, not better, but like worth your time. And it's really unsalvageable. Like the movie before this had, like I said, it had a lot of good imagery. It had really good kills. But to neuter or even pervert in a way the character of Michael Myers for your closing of the story,
it's like, I got an idea. Let's make him really old and shitty and like, why? It makes no sense.
There's nothing.
You know what? Real quick, everybody in this movie is an asshole. Yeah. Like every single part, like Jamie Lee Curtis is like, she introduces this dickhead to her granddaughter, and then all of a sudden is like, nope. I think he might be the next Michael Myers. Like, out of nowhere, her granddaughter is hanging out with this.
She's an idiot, man. Dude,
and then the guy comes over. He's like, I think I killed somebody. She's like, whatever. Like, and then it's like everybody's just making the wrong decisions the entire movie.
Yeah.
And everybody sucks.
But like pointless decisions. They might be wrong, yeah, but it's like, what? Okay, a choice should in a movie, in a story, in a plot, a character choice needs to inform and feed the,
or at least make sense for that character. Everybody makes
yeah. Shit, man. So I think we've beaten it. What you got? You got something else?
One good thing I will say, the score kicked ass.
Did it though? I remember in the previous movie, it really did. It was great.
This one did. I really liked it. It was just like Will Patton's that actor, by the way.
Will Patton, thank you.
But like, it was,
rest in peace.
It really was like,
is it John Carpenter? Did he do it?
It's John Carpenter and his son. Or it might be his nephew, but it's the other guy. It's the guy who works the whole time.
I remember in the last movie it was prominent. In this one, I don't remember it.
I liked it a lot. But it was
because it's just so bad.
Yeah. Well, it was like, it just had more. It was the classic Halloween theme, but it had like a synth edge to it, and I just dug it.
That's crazy, man. I sitting here, all I can remember the previous movie's score, but this one, I cannot remember an ounce of it. I think that's just a testament to how distractingly bad the movie was.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, not really a bummer because we expected this, I think, but I
Yeah.
didn't expect it to be this bad.
But at this point, yeah. Well, I had higher expectations because of the deal with the second one, where the first one did really well. It was originally going to be two movies. It was going to be Halloween and then Halloween Ends, and it did so well that the studio made him make a set and said, you got to make another one.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, with the last one, like, okay, maybe this feels forced or whatever, but this one.
But I would say I can't remember the first one very well at all. Well, I guess a little bit, but this one, I would say the second one out of the three is the best, right?
Nah, I don't know. I think maybe the first one.
All I remember the first one is like the idiot documentary people going to the thing and being allowed to torment Michael Myers while he's in, the thing in the jail or whatever. It's just dumb,
right?
All the way around. That's all I got on this, man. I mean, we could trash it for hours, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You're good. You got it. You got it out. You exercised it.
It just sucked. It just sucked.
Just pointless. And whatever. You had this is what you want to close your trilogy with? What?
It's we have an IP and we want to, it's just a product.
Yeah.
The last one, I thought of a good analogy for the last one, where you remember when we saw Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I was like, okay.
I knew Ghostbusters we couldn't go an episode without talking about Ghostbusters.
Well, the thing was Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think I opened it, or I might have said at one point, I said, this is going to sound bad. I didn't hate this movie, but it's everything wrong with movies. Like now, okay, like everything that's going on with movies that's bad, this is. However, I enjoy the movie was good, and it's that done well. Like if this is the shit stew that we have to eat now, at least this is a little edible, but it's still shit stew.
Okay.
Whereas like Halloween Kills was the same thing,
right?
But just done so badly.
I mean? I understand your point with Ghostbusters, but this to me is just like there's no thought put into this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the last one, in Halloween Kills, it was just like, remember this guy, remember that guy, and like,
that really was.
I don't remember that guy. Like, he was in. Oh, it's the guy who had half a second of screen time.
Yeah.
Like in Halloween 1. Like,
and in this one, they even brought back the one chick, the bartender lady who was, I guess, the nurse or something she's in the Halloween Kills, and then she's in this one. I don't know. It's been a bummer this Halloween, man. I feel like there's always something, a bunch of stuff, and there's always at least a couple things that are good Halloween wise. That Flanagan series was kind of a bummer, but I forgot, and we talked about it. We mentioned it earlier. Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, right?
Solid. Yeah. Solid. I knew you were going to love it. Yeah.
Dude, goddamn, that was great. I like just everything about it. And we won't get into a whole thing. I just wanted to mention it because we've been dogging on so many things. But did you know that it's directed by Michael Giacchino, who is the kind of the guy who's taking over for John Williams in the Star Wars music?
Yeah, I knew he was a big.
So now he's directing, and he nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, Werewolf by Night was awesome, and I was not expecting it to be. Like, I was like, all right, I'll give this a shot, and then like it was like solid. I like this.
Yeah, just really cool to see Disney open that door. I think more than anything.
You know what was cool was because Disney's kind of been doing that, and I really hate when superhero movies do this, where they're like, they got to point out that it's stupid. So like, hey, we know it's stupid. You know what I mean? Like, they gotta, I don't know. They have to get cute. They can't just make a werewolf thing. And whereas this
little cutie.
Well, they just got to be like, And as much as I like the line and I think it works in Avengers, but they gotta be like, yeah, you're embarrassing me in front of the Wizards, or like they have to diminish.
Oh yeah,
What
yeah, I see what you're saying.
you know what I mean? They
Sure,
have to address that we know it's silly,
sure.
and it was just fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but if you're gonna do werewolves and vampires and shit, it seems like no, we're playing it completely straight.
Yeah.
And that's how you should do it.
This was very it brought in and used classic elements of Universal monsters in like the best way for the modern era, like it had for me, being as big of a fan of those movies as I am, it had a lot of that. I felt the Lon Chaney Jr. presence, and I felt the Frankenstein presence, and I felt, like even a little bit of the Benicio del Toro Wolfman movie is not a good movie, but the design of his Wolfman is really cool. And I felt like the design of this Wolfman, at first I was like, I don't know if I like it, but the more that I've sat with it and looked at it, it reminds me of that Del Toro design. And especially in the way that he moves and is, very cool, very original in a lot of ways too.
I was annoyed. Yeah, I was like, oh, it's gonna like I wasn't annoyed. That's the wrong word, but like I was thinking, I'm like, oh, we're gonna get a snout. Like we're gonna get a
exactly the snout.
We're gonna get a real because that's when I think of werewolves. I think of that. You know what I mean? Like
right, totally.
I don't think of the Lon Chaney, but like and when they did it, I was like, all right, because that look. I mean, it does look a little silly. And
this is more of like a feral man almost. Like and that he's wearing. He's not really in a costume. He's more in makeup, I guess. But he is acting like a wolf. And I think it goes really well with the fact that like the character's name is Jack Russell. Which is like tongue in cheek. That's a dog.
Yeah.
So it's like werewolf by night. I don't know. There's a lot of camp that goes along with his character. So they didn't I'm glad they didn't go full on howling or London, he's a man first and foremost, so not a creature. So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot, and I thought Man Thing was awesome.
Yeah,
they nailed everything about Man Thing.
Good.
How his power works and all
the power was really cool.
Yeah. It was
it
was solid.
Yeah, really good stuff. So if you haven't watched that, watch that. Don't watch this fucking Halloween movie. What am I forgetting to do that we normally do? Anything? Do we have anybody else to yell at or like shout out?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. So what Kevin and I are planning, because the reason our hiatus has been longer than either of us has probably wanted, just busyness. I've been trying to make a living, and Kevin's been raising parasites and doing Halloween decorations. So what we're doing is, this is our big Halloween bonanza, since Halloween is next week. We'll be popping in and doing shows sporadically when we really need to talk about something or whatever. But as far as our normal programming of the alphabet and stuff like that, we'll get back to that eventually down the road. But for now, we will just see you when we see you, basically. We're still on Instagram. You can find us there if you want to reach out. And we have our Patreon still active, even though we're on hiatus. So you can definitely still support us there if you wish. Kevin, you got anything else?
Nope.
What's my usual sign off besides my tag phrase?
It's in Miller time. I mean,
yeah. Don't steal my line. Don't steal my line. I am your host, Adam. Thank you all for listening. By the way, it's been good to, and Kevin, it's been good to sit with you and talk.
Yeah.
I am your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Kevin.
It's Miller time, Kevin. That was good, man. Right on, like first time. That was good stuff. It makes me really miss
James Woods.
What should I watch?
It's a funny story. I was bullshitting with my brother-in-law who works for Me TV. We're talking about Svengoolie.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think I had a few drinks and I was like, it'd be a good Svengoolie movie. And he was like, what? I'm like, you ever see Cat's Eye? He's like, no, I've never heard of it. And I'm like, he's like, what's it about? And I start to explain the plot. And I'm like, it's James. Well, the first part is James Woods, and he's doing this thing, and he wants to quit smoking. So he joins this organization, and they basically tell him that if he doesn't quit smoking, they're going to rape his wife. And he's like, he like shot up. He's like, what? He's like, we show Leave It to Beaver on this channel, right?
Love it.
And I was like, oh yeah, I guess that is kind of fucked up. And he's like, yeah, man, you might want to lay off the horror movies. That's pretty nuts.
That's so good. That's so good, dude. Man, I don't know if you noticed, but they're hiring the spawn of Svengoolie. They're looking for that. I think he's going to retire, man. I've
been probing my brother-in-law, and he says, as of now, there's nothing in place.
Yeah,
where he's. I mean, who knows if he would know that? But he seems like he would know, and he's like, but he's very aware of his age, and he's very aware of
That's going to be one of the.
He wants the legacy to continue.
Yeah,
so he wants a hand in it.
It's going to be one of the not weirdest, but like those are some diehard fans, and I can't think of any other one actor who's done something for 40 years, the same thing. So he's got 40 years of audience, accumulated. They're not going to accept just somebody. Jerry G. Bishop, the original Svengoolie, he was only Svengoolie for like a year or two. And then he handed it to the son of Svengoolie, which was Rich Coase. So this is going to be a really interesting thing to watch. And I'm kind of what's the word kids use? Salty about it. Because that's the job I always wanted, was to take over for him.
Go for it.
Look at his face. This can't be Svengoolie.
Sure. I mean, like I remember.
I'd have to wear a wig. Well, he does.
Before I knew that Rich Coase was Svengoolie, like I used to watch the Co-Zone.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was the same guy. Yeah. I mean, makeup's
it's a hell of a thing.
Should try that for Halloween this year. Should try go to Svengoolie's as a trial run. See if anybody.
Oh shit. Yeah, maybe. All right, folks, we're out of here. Thanks for listening. We will see you soon. Talk to you soon. I think that's it. Kevin, do you have a sign off? You already did it. We're good?
I did it already.
I think we're all good. All right. James Woods. Reach out.
Yeah.
We're here. We'll have you on the show.
Absolutely.
Seth Green. Let's get coffee, man. I'm all about it. All right. See you guys.